Hey now, cats, we're back again this week on the Balls From Ellwood Show from our triumphant return. Wow, just in the past week, there's been so much going on. The world's completely went to hell in a handbasket.
Yes.
But we're still here.
We are.
We're here to entertain you. We're here to talk some shit. We're here to tell you about some things. And actually, we're here to have this show, we're going to have a celebration, if you will, of... for the great Caroline Williams. I did an incredible interview later on. We're going to get to that. We had a little panel. We went to Horror Realm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Whoop, whoop.
Before the world, before the end of the world fell out. And we had a great time, and I'm going to play you some of that. But first, let's just get right into it. What a fucking week.
Right?
Where do we even start?
I don't know. Well, I guess we should start with my Corona. My Corona. No, I don't have Corona. I mean, I might have beer now. I don't even have that. I don't like it. But I feel bad for Corona beer, and I kind of want to buy some. But anyway, because people are so stupid that they think that Corona beer is causing the coronavirus.
Anyway. It's just crazy, though. It seems like in the matter of like days to a week, schools closed. We sat around all week and watched every concert event
that we have in the next.
We have in the next 2 months. Just drop off one at a time. All our horror conventions. I'm even afraid to go to movies. And all the movies they fucking push back. A Quiet Place 2, New Mutants. I could go on and on and on. I mean, Fast and the Furious, but nobody gives a shit about that shit. But, unless you're a shaved ape. But, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So,
we're like literally living in... I feel like I'm living in The Walking Dead without the zombies.
Well, they're coming.
That's what I'm afraid of.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's definitely nuts. I mean,
people are fighting over toilet paper.
Yeah, I never thought I'd live to see the day where, like, people were... like, Mike Tyson each other over fucking a 12-pack of Northern.
I mean, it's funny because, like, when we get snow, whatever, like blizzard warnings and stuff, it's milk and bread and get your toilet paper, And it's, like, kind of a joke. I mean, yeah, people do go out and get groceries. It does get a little crazy. But this is, like, next level nuts.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. So, I mean, in this trying time where the world's falling apart, I hope we can entertain you just for a few seconds. Laugh at the stupidity of it all. I mean, it's crazy, it's serious, but I mean, you got to have a good attitude, and you got to stay positive in these trying times, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy, but I know a lot of people are kind of like, this is ridiculous, and it's ridiculous, but at the same time, if it saves like several thousand lives, I guess it's worth it,
yeah. I mean...
So, I guess it depends on whose lives we're saving, though. What do you think?
Well, yeah, there's tons of people that would certainly love to see get coronavirus. But
can we get out on the purge there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd participate in the purge. If we had a purge, I would be the first one out there. And there'd be a lot of dead motherfuckers, too.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
But anyway.
Happy thoughts.
Back to the coronavirus. I don't know. Like, everybody's panicked. What are you going to do? I mean, if you can't do anything about it.
Right. I mean, but not everybody's going to die from it. I mean, it's basically like
just
a little
500,000 people. I mean, that's all.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a bronchitis-y cold kind of thing. But, like, and that's the other thing, too. I think that's the scariest part about it is not knowing the difference between your common cold or your bronchitis or your... and it's hard to decipher. So today they announced that, the United States is in a state of emergency. So the president he's working with the leaders from all the Walmarts and the Targets, and they're going to give space in their parking lots for a pop-up tent of a drive-through swabbing station where you can just drive on through, get your mouth swabbed for some coronavirus. I mean, it's pretty genius.
I mean, when you're making your list in the morning, lean cuisine, some bottled water, toilet paper, swab for the coronavirus.
I mean, why not, right?
So, hey, why not? Let's make it convenient.
But you have to be showing symptoms, so I guess, they're not just going to, waste all these swabs on just everybody, so,
See, that's the thing, too. It's such a weird thing. Like, how do you know you don't have a cold? How do you know you don't have a flu? How do you know it's...
and you don't. And I know, like, I know some healthcare workers that are kind of already bitching that, like, people keep coming into, you know, the urgent cares and they just have a cold, but, like, don't you...
Really, how could you know that? You can't blame people for not knowing.
Right.
I mean, fuck, our own government knows nothing about it until...
Exactly.
So, I mean, really, I mean... But let's not dwell on this shit. Let's get to some other stuff that we did. We watched a documentary the other night. I'd like to talk about that for a little bit. We watched My Truth, The Rape of the Two Coreys. It was a Corey Feldman documentary. It was about child sex abuse in the Hollywood system growing up, and it was pretty crazy, man. Like, yeah. I mean, you hear a lot. I read a lot of stuff in the paper. You read the kind of the reveal. Had I not seen the reveal, I'd been really shocked. But I mean, well, actually, probably not, considering who did it. But I mean, yeah. It's a crazy film. I mean, Corey Feldman is clearly eccentric, and when you watch this film, you could see how he became the way he was. Mm-hmm. Also, the thing that was surprising me, I don't know if it surprised you, was I didn't realize Corey Haim was so fucked up from such a little age. Yeah. Like, I always thought this shit kind of happened when he was older. Right. Here it happened when he was younger, and it had just damaging consequences. Right.
Well, a lot of those young child actors, they get caught up with, because their agents and everything are older, so they take them to these Hollywood parties because they want to be, like, schmoozing around with them and, like, kind of showcasing them, I guess. And so they'll take them to, like, Hollywood parties and places where, like, 14, 15-year-olds have no business being. But then they're there, and then they're, like, welcomed into this, world of drugs and sex and, alcohol. And
all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, and, and they're with these adults who they are assuming they can trust. Yeah. So when said adults say, here, let's take a Quaalude, just try it. All right, I guess.
Or here, or like how most pedophiles explain things according to this documentary, they take them to the boys' club. Yeah. That's how they trick kids into fucking pretty much molesting
they all do it.
Like there's like a pattern, like,
and they make it like sound so normal to the point where
the kids actually think when they grow up it is normal.
Poor Corey Haim, he like totally, when he first met Feldman, he was like a little older. I mean. And he's like, oh, well, no, this is like what we do, I thought.
He's like, yeah, let's fuck around.
And he totally thought that was like
it was the most normalest thing in the world. Like, that's what boys do.
And he's like, I'm not gay. And he's like, well, I'm not gay either, but this is what we do.
Like, that's how confused that these people, I mean, it's heartbreaking. You watch this, all I felt was just heartbreak for both of these kids, because, like, I can't believe they came out as functionable as they did. Granted, they came out and
became druggies.
They just
it all makes sense.
Their life was affected and damaged and destroyed by some assholes that couldn't keep their dick in their pants. Yeah, so
it's a shame.
I'm just going to address it too. I mean, it's a pay-per-view now, but it's all over the news, so I don't really feel like it's a spoiler.
No, and apparently it came out a couple years ago, even in an article.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I honestly feel. Was anybody shocked that, like, Charlie Sheen was the rapist? No. Like, does anybody believe Charlie Sheen when he said he didn't do it? No. Like, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, I remember raping Corey Haim on the set of Lucas. I forgot all about that, Yeah. And it's like, when you watch this thing, it's the most fucked up. The way it's explained and the way it happened, it's just, it's revolting. Yeah, it is. Like, right in broad daylight. Like, I mean,
yeah, right behind a trailer, like it was new.
It was in broad daylight. He put fucking what was it, Crisco on his ass and fucking raped him in front of the whole movie set. Oh, God. Like, anybody walking by could have seen it with no shame whatsoever.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So I mean, the best thing to come out of this documentary would be the attention and the spotlight put onto such a serious topic of importance. I mean, I don't really feel like kids do have a structured and correct system of protection in the film industry.
No,
so
they
I mean,
sure don't.
Hopefully, I mean, Corey, you can say what you want about Feldman. He's a wacko, I get it. But he's doing a lot of good things to draw attention to it. He's risking his life, really.
Right, he almost got killed. People are trying
to kill him. And he's trying to push for, different, systems,
laws and things.
And things. So I give him credit there.
And he promised Corey Haim.
Yeah, this whole thing was a labor of love for him to tell his story, because he promised Corey Haim to tell a story if something was to happen to him.
And here's what's messed up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, didn't it sound to you like Corey Haim's mom knew that this had happened?
Yes.
And she kind of like brushed it under the rug because
yes,
Charlie
but
Sheen was a big star.
Feldman's parents did the same thing.
Right.
Because the first time something happened with him, it was brought to their attention, and the dad pretty much just kind of let it go.
Yeah, I mean, because
those
kids are their breadwinners. So.
Is there any? I mean, you being a parent, is there any amount of money that would like let you turn a blind eye to let your kid get raped?
No.
Like what kind of?
No, and I like money. I really like money, but no, man.
I can't even understand what kind of a monster
freaking way
would be like. This money is way more important than like my whole kid's psyche being fucked for the rest of his life.
Never in a million years.
I mean, it gets boring at times. It's a little overlong, but it's definitely something. And it's definitely interesting to check out. Yeah. So, I don't want to say enjoyed it because
I was gonna say it's a hard watch
to enjoy.
For
it's
sure.
Pretty hard to watch. I don't think I can sit through it again, but I do feel it's an important film. So, I would encourage to check it out. Or if you don't have the courage to at least go and support some sort of system or the efforts to. Help. To help kids in the film industry. I mean, I think that was the main purpose. That's kind of what his legacy should be. So I mean, that being said, you have any?
We don't really have any notes because like it's so weird. Like we didn't even really get to prepare for this because like our days are just like
everything is a blur, man.
Everything
like, I'm just
gonna
say when you see this today,
minute by minute.
Last week people put comments on the show. They said it's shitty. Yeah, I'm a little puzzled at that, but I mean, this week I totally would get it. And being that we have such a full plate this week, cats. Xtina will return next week with an all-new Depravity Corner. But we have such a full plate and things are such a blur and we're just kind of winging it this week. Next week she'll be sure to tell you the most fucked up story of the week.
Yeah, you know it.
I mean, other than that, I have to say, it's been such a crazy week.
All you can think about is coronavirus.
You can't escape
coronavirus.
Like, no matter where you go, everyone's talking about it. Then you're like, fuck, I gotta stop getting out in my own head here. I don't want to think about it. Oh, fuck, I touched my face, see? That's what I'm saying. Like,
I know we were talking about that today at work. It's so funny how you don't realize how much you touch your face all day until you are told, don't touch your face all day.
Well, that's what I mean, too. And I mean, really, I've heard the only purpose of the mask is so you don't touch your face.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking help you for anything. It's not going to keep you from getting anything.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You try to get away from it, get out of your own head a little bit. You go on fucking Facebook, coronavirus.
That's all there is.
Go to work, everyone's talking about coronavirus. Go to the fucking store, coronavirus.
Right, but in a way, it's interesting, okay? Here's what I find interesting about when, I don't know, stuff like this happens. Like, it feels like the end of the world or something, like 9/11, when 9/11 happened. Like, people, I guess it goes both ways, but I find that people tend to be kinder and more interactive. For instance, we went to the store the other day we actually needed toilet paper. We're not like these crazy hoarders, but we thought it would be funny to
just normal shit.
Normal shit. Yeah, normal shit paper. But, there's people there like with their buggies stacked high with all the paper products and this and that. And we're all like looking at each other and kind of chuckling and like, whoa, this is crazy, right? And you just start talking to these people like that you would just totally like not even pay attention to if you on any other normal day. So I think that's kind of interesting. I know Balls isn't a big fan of people, but even he was talking to people. So that goes to show.
Well, they were listening to me. They were eavesdropping on my conversation.
Yeah.
I called my boss to say, hey, there's shit paper as far as the eye can see here at Big Lots. So he was going to actually go to fucking Costco and wait 6 hours and get shit paper.
Yeah, that's the problem, people. When there's times of emergency, don't go to these big box stores. Like, don't do it. Just go to like a smaller place.
We got in and out of there in like what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, go to Big Lots. Go to like a Family Dollar or Dollar General or like your little dollar store or whatever.
Here's my other observation that's pissing me off.
Okay.
Like this, I was thinking about we're in line. This fucking bitch has like a buggy and she has the whole goddamn store stacked up like a fucking pyramid. So we're waiting behind this stupid twat for
this wasn't the nice girl. Yeah, this was the idiot.
For that. Well, I mean, I don't think all people are fucking nice too. I mean, let's ask the people that are beating the shit out of each other for a roll of toilet paper.
Right,
there's your assholes, like this lady I'm going to tell you about in line with the fucking pyramid that goes and buys everything up so nobody else can get anything.
Right.
let me let you in a little secret, bitch. Like, here's how coronavirus works. If you buy all the fucking hand sanitizer and all that shit, so just you're able to clean yourself, everybody needs to be cleaning themselves, or else that's not going to work.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you're clean and the rest of the world is fucking not clean, guess what? You're still going to fucking get it. In fact, you're contributing to making the pandemic worse.
Right.
So don't be a fucking asshole, is like pretty much my PSA today.
Yeah.
You help your fellow man. I fucking hate people. In fact, I hate you motherfuckers watching this show. So, but my PSA is help your fellow man. If you don't, we're all going to fucking die. So, you know, you want to be a greedy asshole? You can't be a greedy asshole and you're fucking dead.
This is very true. The end. Beautiful
That's my observation. It pains me to say so. It's making me sick. Help other people.
Yeah,
I hate fucking
not his
people.
thing.
But I'm begging you to help people. So this is how dire straits this circumstance is. But anyway,
pretty wild.
Yeah, let's get to Horror Realm.
Oh, did we talk about Horror Realm?
Not yet.
Cool.
We went to Horror Realm last weekend on Saturday. We met a plethora of great people.
We did.
Had a lot of fun.
We did.
Got a lot of cool shit.
We did.
We met David Howard Thornton, which my interview with him is going to be coming up next week, cats. So make sure you tune into that.
And if you don't know who that is, yes, Art
the Clown from the movie Terrifier. He's going to... I tried to squeeze some details about Terrifier 2 out. You got that to look forward to. Get a little bit... Incredible interview with him. He's always a...
Nice
really
guy.
Nice and interesting, fun cat to talk to.
For a guy who plays a psychotic clown, he's pretty sweet.
Did you ever notice the people that play the biggest villains are actually the nicest?
Right.
That's the
very
craziest thing about
right?
But I am proud to present. There was tons of other people there. Savini was there, being a fucking scowling gargoyle sitting there like he always is. Patricia Tallman was there. It was the chick from Night of the Comet. I can't remember her name. But there was there was a ton of people there.
Yes.
It was lots of fun. But the gem in the whole convention for me was, when I was a kid, I loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I loved The Legend of Billie Jean. I loved Stepfather 2. I could just name countless Caroline Williams films. I always thought she was super cool. Stretch in Texas Chainsaw 2. I always followed her career after that. I think she's brilliant. We got to hang out with her. I got to have a very nice interview, and she's a sweetheart. So
she really is.
I'd like to dedicate this show to the, let's have a celebration of Caroline Williams, if you will.
Absolutely.
So,
she deserves it.
She does. So, I mean, I think you cats are going to find, if you're a fan of horror, you're going to find some interesting stuff in this panel. And you're just going to get a little, taste of, where she's from and what she's about. And hopefully enjoy it, cats. So let's start playing that stuff. Like I said, New Depravity Corner next week. And let's just try to get through this coronavirus by helping each other and giving each other a hand.
Not literally, though. Don't literally give a hand. No touching.
No. Don't fist. No, I won't even fist bump.
Don't even fist bump.
Not only I don't know why the fucking people. Let's name some good shit that's come out of the coronavirus. I can think of some good stuff here. I think that sounds fucked up because it's killing people like fucking left and right.
Yeah.
But
that's not the good part.
You got to sit down. You got to think about it. Everything has a positive side. Like there's got to be something good the coronavirus is doing. I could think of some. Let's think of some. Let's see, BTS canceled their tour.
I don't know about that yet. But
there's going to be no gathering of the Juggalos. That alone, I think, hooray, fucking coronavirus.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What else just canceled that we heard? There was something else you just praised.
There'll be no Dave Matthews. That makes me very happy. Yeah. You could fuck right off. I hate that guy. Let's see here. There's got to be good.
Well, you can't shake hands with people.
Oh my God, that's a custom that is far fucking removed. It needs to go away.
Yeah,
I had this dude shake my hand today. I'm like, you fucking asshole. We're in the middle of coronavirus season. You're shaking my hand, and he's already a dirty fuck to begin with. So I'm like,
what?
I don't even like fist bump. How about don't touch me?
Yeah, just don't even touch.
Let's just be done.
I mean, you're honestly better off hugging. At least your clothes are just touching, but still.
No, that's dangerous.
I know you don't want hugging either.
That's bad. How about we just acknowledge
it?
I had a truck driver come today when I was on the truck at work. He gave me the nod. I gave him the nod.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There you go.
Same thing. Didn't have to touch him. He didn't have to touch me. Felt pretty good about it. So let's do the nod from now on.
Give them a wink.
Well, it depends on how excited they are. He wasn't very hot. So.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no winking.
But yeah, all I'm trying to say is let's try to keep some spirits up. We'll get through this.
We got this.
We got this. But yeah, I can think of more good shit about the coronavirus. I mean,
all kinds of interesting things. Well,
we got a
Balls
video.
hate sports, so no sports.
That's what I'm saying. No sports. But then I got bitch slapped because then all our concert got canceled.
Yeah,
so all my horror conventions. So it's like
kind of like.
If anything, it's gonna teach people they have to
appreciate shit.
Appreciate things. And they're gonna have to actually talk to people again.
Yeah.
Everybody's so self-absorbed.
Right.
People, it might actually build some fucking interpersonal relationships. So
you never know.
That we got a video from Chet Hayes. Jeez.
Oh, good Lord. If you don't know who that is, it's Tom Hanks' ghetto son. Look him up.
So for every bad, there's got to be a good. But that's all I can think of off the top of my head. That's pretty good to me.
It's pretty good.
So anyway, let's get to the wonderful Caroline Williams. Check it out. Hold on. Hey now, cats, we're back again this week in the Balls From Ellwood Show, and I'm at the lovely horror realm with the lovely Caroline Williams. You know her, you love her from countless films. I could just ramble off quite a few. Texas Chainsaw 2, brief cameo, Texas Chainsaw 3. I grew up loving The Legend of Billie Jean. They play it on HBO every 2 hours.
It's such a favorite of mine.
Stepfather 2.
Oh, love Stepfather 2.
I mean, I could go on all day, but I just wanted, I'm here with the lovely Caroline Williams. She's going to talk to me. We're going to answer some awesome questions, so let's go.
Hi.
I just wanted to get into real quickly, where did you grow up? Like, what was your upbringing? Where you're from, what, is it Texas?
Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas, which is the South and Texas. They're very mystical places, and they've got their own folklore, and a lot of ghost stories. And so I sort of had the storytelling, ghostly, scary thing from the time I was a kid. You know, you're sitting under the street light, and it's dark, and it's summer, and your cousins are there, and you've already gotten in trouble a few times. So now you're just sitting there telling stories.
So, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you brought up the supernatural. Do you believe in the supernatural? Have you actually encountered any of these stories?
You know, I love the idea of it. I mean, if you have any idea about religion, spirituality, it's actually the same thing. Ghosts, angels, demons, devils. I mean, it's kind of the same rough mythology. It's the way we try to understand the world, human behavior, circumstance, things that happen by chance. So yeah, I would say to an extent, yeah, I do. I mean, I had a strange thing happen to me last night while I was sleeping. I got some bad news that a coworker and friend had passed away yesterday.
I'm sorry.
We have a remarkable movie coming out very shortly called 10 Minutes to Midnight, directed by Eric Bloomquist. He was an extraordinary actor named Nicholas Tucci. He had also worked with Barbara Crampton in You're Next.
I was just going to say, he was in You're Next.
Yes, and I dreamt that I was doing one of my scenes with Nicholas. And he was an incredible actor. But during the shooting of that scene, I would go up on my dialogue once in a while, because most of it was mine.
Yeah.
But he was infinitely patient and sweet. And in my dream last night, everything came off seamlessly. I remembered every line of dialogue. Whereas when we shot the scene, we had to bit and piece a little bit. And it was perfect last night, and it was somehow reassuring. You know,
that's amazing. I believe myself. I've had tons of things, but let's get into how did you actually get into acting? Like, how did you fall? Was that something that you actually had pined over when you were a little girl, or did you just kind of fall into it? Like, what happened?
I have a cousin named Rebecca Balding. She was in a movie called The Boogans.
Ooh, I love The Boogans.
Do you remember The Boogans?
I remember The Boogans. I have a copy of The Boogans.
That's my cousin, Rebecca Balding.
No way.
Yes, she married the creator of Charmed and also a major creator with Spelling Productions.
Huh.
James. His name's James. I'll remember his name. It will come to me. Sorry. Oh, fuck. Sorry.
No, you're allowed to swear in here.
Okay, We'll pick it up. We'll pick this part up.
Okay.
Anyway, she married the director of the Boogans, and she was sort of my acting, the introduction to the idea that you can come from a small town, you can come from a relatively remote place, and you can become an actor. And I didn't really entertain it completely seriously at the time. But I do remember when I was living in Texas in the 80s, Urban Cowboy came to town, lots of productions were coming in from LA. And a friend of mine, I was working for a little TV commercial production company at the time. A friend of mine said, "You know what? You should try this. You should try this." So I started going to classes. I had a terrific teacher, and within 6 months, I got my very first job for Louis Malle, the internationally famed French director of Atlantic City, Au revoir les enfants, Pretty Baby, and the movie was Alamo Bay with Ed Harris and Amy Madigan.
Oh, nice.
And it was a phenomenal experience, and I knew at that moment I was kind of on my way, and that was 1984.
So how do you fall in from Alamo Bay to a movie, say, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
I know, I mean, I actually had a guy say, "Gee, that's a high watermark you've never equaled again," which is kind of rude.
Jeez.
But to me, I felt like it was a natural continuation. Tobe Hooper is also a legendary
of course.
director, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean,
yeah, in different genres of film, but
that doesn't make it any lesser or greater. You know?
No, it doesn't. And when the opportunity arose to audition, I knew I was up a lot. I was up against a lot of other actresses on both coasts. I knew my chances were less than average, but I did the audition in Austin, and I was cast. I mean, I had noted the scripts that they gave me had no dialogue. It was just they live on fear, they live on fear. Everything else in the script, besides, was action. Running, jumping, slamming the door, fighting with Leatherface. They live on fear, they live on fear. So I ran screaming down the hallway. I burst through the doors. I pulled the chairs out from under Toby and Kit Carson. I piled them up in front of the door, and I backed into a corner. They live on fear, they live on fear. That's how it went down.
Well, let me ask you this. How much of yourself did you put into the character of Stretch?
You know, it was not a reach at all. Everything about that character is absolutely a part of who I am. Texas women and Southern women, they tend to be very ballsy, they're very assertive. They can run things when the men aren't around, but when the men are around, they're very feminine and soft and flirty, and you know, they understand and enjoy the dance between men and women. And that's what came out in the legendary ice bucket scene with the saw. Toby didn't want me to play it completely terrified at a high pitch the whole time. Mm-hmm. He wanted there to be a flirtation and a seduction, which I thought was a really unique way of approaching
That's a really cool twist.
It is. You'd never get away with it now.
Let me ask you, was there a definitive time, like when you were younger, that you knew that acting was going to be more than a hobby, and it's something that you wanted to do the rest of your life? Was there like one definitive thing that told you that, or is it you just developed that from being in so many other films?
As a child, I grew up like Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
There was a big forest behind my house, and I felt like as a child I had so many adventures as a child. We would go far and wide in the area where we lived, and we were utterly free, and our imaginations were on fire, and we had an extraordinarily good time. And so I've always lived in my head. I've always enjoyed reading. I read Grimm's fairy tales when I was a very little kid. I've just always had that thing in my head, and it wasn't until my cousin Rebecca did the Boogans that I thought to myself, wow, if she can do it, I can do it.
We live in a very different time now where it seems like there's things like, the Me Too movement and things. Have you ever worked in a film where somebody was maybe, inappropriate with you, and how did you handle that?
Feminists in 1986 considered the entire role of Stretch to be inappropriate. And they were very combative and confrontational.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Playboy magazine wanted to feature me in a layout, and Toby and Kit said no, because we couldn't get a rating. We were in NC-17.
I remember that.
So we were released without a rating, and it was highly controversial at the time. And I remembered a lot of more feminist friends of mine saying, "You should be mad. I can't believe that they did that to you," and so on and so forth. I didn't see it that way. I mean, lots of women get attacked by lots of criminals. Lots of women, they do. And
I would just look at all the true crime stuff that happens. She does a segment of our show for true crime, and I just hear all this stuff, and that's what legitimately scares me. All this stuff, she's like, how can you watch that? You know, and I'm like, it's fantasy, because it's fantasy.
Right.
The stuff that happens in real life, now that's terrifying.
Well, but it is something that we, in the human world, we have to contend with that. Human beings have evil inside them, and that evil comes out. How are you going to handle it when it's in front of you? And in Chainsaw, she handled it. You may not have liked the way she handled it, but she handled it.
Thanks again.
And at the end, she's the one who is triumphant with the saw. Who knows where her mind was, but she's triumphant with the saw at the end. And that, for me, was the big summing up. My career in Hollywood was absolutely... I never had anything like that happen to me. My agents never sent me to hotels. Now look, I didn't exist at the Miramax level. I was not upper echelon A-list. I was not going to be the girl Harvey Weinstein was looking for. But you get those casting couch stories, they're everywhere. The difference for me was my agents were very caretaking. I never was sent any place where anybody was going to do anything bad to me. There were multiple people in the room every time I auditioned. When I went for callbacks, you had like 10 executives sitting in there. So none of that ever happened to me. Now, I dated in show business. I had a lot of flirtations. I had a couple hot affairs. But nothing was on the line. There was never a compromise to my integrity as an actress. So it was an odd and weird time. It was different. You know, when I appeared on Murder, She Wrote, you didn't audition for that show. They would send you a letter in the mail inviting you to appear.
Really?
It was very courtly. It was very, yeah, it was a totally different world. I know of a lot of women who went through a lot of things. I just didn't happen to be one of them.
That's great. I mean, I wish things were the way they were. I mean, it's just a weird transition. But let me ask you this: does being an actress, does it make it difficult on, say, your friendships, your relationships, whether it be with family or significant other? Does it ever take a toll? Being an actress, does it take a toll on your relationships with people? The bad thing is when you're very successful and you're working a lot, you're traveling a lot, you're gone a lot. It's difficult to sustain friendships and relationships when you're never there. And whether it's marriage and family life, your children, bringing up your children, having a boyfriend, having an alternative business, you've got to be able to attend. You've got to be able to pay attention. And the thing about being an actor or being in the entertainment business as a whole, even as an executive, it's immersive. When you're in it, you're in it. And that makes it hard. That makes it hard. What's the best gift anyone's ever given you?
Oh, God. I know. It comes out of nowhere. You get older and it's like your hormones are just crazy. But anyway, I'm grateful every day that I'm alive. And I have my children and I have my friends. Toby gave me this movie. This movie continues to feed and fuel my career. I mean, that's lucky. I know, it's terrible.
And we're forever grateful because it's gonna live on forever. I mean, it's such an iconic role, such an iconic films. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's amazing.
And it's linked forever to the first one, which was such an extraordinary classic. So our parentage was pretty impressive. So it's great.
One more question for you. If you could go back in time and talk to the young self, is there any advice that you'd give your young self to better prepare your older self?
I've got a movie where there's a scene like that. Yeah. Gosh.
I didn't come to make you cry. I'm sorry.
Look at me. Gosh.
You go back in time and not do the show.
I don't know honestly, I don't know what I would say, because everything about my life, everything's a continuum. And you can only learn certain things at certain times. And everything is almost by chance. You know, it's everything's a happy accident in show business. I don't know that I'd change anything.
Beautiful. Now, actually, before we close, can you tell my fans where we can find you and what you got coming up so we can all keep in touch with you?
You can find me at Willie Caroline, WILLICAROLINE, on Twitter and Instagram. My new movies right now are Greenlight, which is currently on Amazon Prime and all platforms. Coming soon, 10 Minutes to Midnight, which is beginning its festival circuit, directed by Eric Bloomquist. Greenlight is directed by Graham Denman. Pieces of Me, directed by the brilliant Julia Max. That's going to begin. It's a film short, and we're going to be festivaling that film. And Killer Rose, directed by Ricky Bird. And I don't know when that one's coming out. It was supposed to be now, but it isn't.
We will watch for it, Cats. And as you had her, the woman, the myth, the legend, the lovely Caroline Williams.
Thank you, Balls.
Thank you so much.
His name's Balls. Prosthesis. And, LG is cut up all over his body. So his makeup application was really complicated and long. Then we had to go into this extremely hot environment. We had that extraordinary underground layer that was so magnificent, put together by Carrie White, our art director, production design. And we're in the smokehouse, and it was smoky in there, and it was hot as hell in there. And the worst part is that Lou kept losing his blood. He would sweat the blood off of the appliances. So, a lot of that, and he was not a happy camper, God love him. I didn't have to act a lot in that scene. When he's putting it, we actually improvised some of that dialogue. He said, what is it? It was disgusting. And everything was dirty. It was such a great, gritty environment, which gives you a reality. It's not work at that point. Everything just assimilates magically. It's just fantastic.
It was a pretty physical shoot for you as well. Talk about some of the more physical things that you did or found challenging in the shoot.
One of the bigger ones is towards the beginning of the film when she runs and she falls down that long chute. Well, it was a slide. It was like a slide. And they had it tricked out with roots and fake dirt and all kinds of cool stuff. I had to match my stunt woman's action. She doesn't have to worry about her face showing, but I do. When I go down the chute, I have to have my face toward the camera hole cutouts. And we shot multiple cameras on that. So as I'm somersaulting, literally I'm somersaulting at a 45-degree angle down this thing. And Beth Newman and I, at the end of that particular day. Also, I love physicality. I love it today. I seek out parts like that. I want to run and jump and play. And the brilliance of TCM2 is you got this, she's a cowgirl, and she's loping across the range. And I got to climb the swaying bridge, and we got to go up the steel and concrete, narrow, teeny little steps. The physicality of it was great. The play fighting, it was all so great. I love it.
And so I do have to ask, what was Dennis Hopper like in real life? As a real life, Well, we were both 18 months sober when we met.
And Dennis Hopper was the Robert Downey Jr. of his day. The fact that he lived through all that is an utter miracle. Seriously. He was very courtly. His manners were impeccable. He was fairly well educated, but his cultural reach was gigantic because he worked with some of the most incredible directors of his day. He worked with George Stevens in Giant, with Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor, Mercedes McCambridge, and James Dean. He was a very good friend of James Dean. He was a very good friend of Sal Mineo. He was a very good friend of Natalie Wood. You know, that was his gang. Nick Ray, you know, they did Rebel Without a Cause. You don't find actors like that anymore. Actors who have worked in great classics of literature. And, you know, everything I know about acting for the camera, which is very, very different than acting for the stage, I learned from him, you know. When we're shooting the scene on the stage, we were positioned opposite, and I was approaching from the other side. It gave me a lot more room to drive the Jeep and everything, and I didn't have to do a lot of stuff. And Dennis said, no, this is her good side. You need to have her over here. And I mean, Toby was editing Invaders from Mars while we were shooting Chainsaw 2. He was working 20-hour days. All he wanted to do was get through the setups, you know? You're gonna have to get your acting down because I don't have time to talk about this shit. But Dennis did. And the man was brilliant. I will tell you, there was a fun, interesting moment that other women today would call a Me Too moment, and I just don't see it that way. You know, back in the 70s and 80s, people were very promiscuous. You were. Not me, but you were. And I had gone out to dinner with Dennis, and we sat down, and he's rearranging his place setting, and he goes, well, Caroline, how do you feel about recreational sex? And I start rearranging my place setting, and I said, well, Dennis, with you, I don't think about it at all. And he sort of looked at me like, okay, we got that out of the way. Because his attitude really was, I know you expect me to bunk him. I mean, I'd never had a guy come on to me because he's a huge superstar, and I'd never really met anybody like that before. And once it was out of the way, it was out of the way. And I took him to see an amazing saxophone player on 6th Street in Austin named Kirk Whalum. The guy is amazing. To this day, he's amazing. And the next day, Dennis shows up on the set and he goes, yeah, I took Caroline out to 6th Street Jazz Bar and introduced her to Kirk Whalum. You know, the guy knew Miles Davis. You know, he knew Lionel Hampton. Jeez. He knew the Rolling Stones. He knew the Grateful Dead. He knew everybody.
Did he have an ego about him, though?
Absolutely. He was not a tall man, but he was a big man. That man was 10 feet tall. When he walked into the room, you knew he was there. All he had to do was be there, you know? And actors, you've got to be, having an ego, it's not like you're so chuffed about yourself all the time. It's resilience. It's believing that you are here for a purpose, and your purpose is to be an actor in every fucking thing you can get. And you have to roll with that. If you're delicate and fragile and crying over shit, go get another job.
So what do you think happened to Stretch at the end?
I like to think she turned into Charlize Theron in Fury Road. I'm not kidding. That's, if they were to ever bring her back, that's where I want to go. Yeah.
There was I read that you were a reporter in TCM3, but you were uncredited. Is that any truth to that?
There is. It's 27 seconds. Jeff Burr was the director of 3. He directed me in Stepfather 2. And my experience with him in Stepfather 2 was fantastic. And with Terry O'Quinn and Meg Foster, Jonathan Brandis. I loved that movie. And the odd thing is the screenwriter, John Auerbach, never wrote another script. And I've got the script on my table because I think it's one of the best scripted movies. in horror.
So the 80s, what do you think lent itself to such classic horror films? We've seen, you know, the franchises, of course, but we really seem to go back to the 80s a lot for the classic horror, the modern classic horror, I should say. What about the 80s do you think lent itself to that?
I absolutely and completely believe it's the art. It was Tom Savini and Greg Nicotero, Rob Patine. It was the special effects and that artistry. That's a very complicated, sophisticated art form. And it creates a reality that you can't invent in your own mind, that only somebody like those guys can invent. And we're going back to that. I mean, we're very much back to that. People want the practicals. They're more expensive, but they're worth it. You know, American Werewolf in London with that animatronic wolf and how it grows and it changes. That was an incredible series of days on that film to get that transformation scene. And people decided to go to CGI to save time and money. Doesn't give you the same feel. It's not the same thing. And I am convinced that that is what is distinctive about 80s movies.
So you were in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. How did that come about?
That was weird. I didn't audition. I didn't even meet with Rob. It was simply an offer. It just came out of nowhere. And he, at the time that he was doing the Halloween films, he wanted to populate both of them with a great many cameos, way into the cameo thing, which died with subsequent films. But he invited me to make a cameo. And of course I was going to say yes, because he's an interesting filmmaker. He really is. I love House of a Thousand Corpses. Devil's Rejects is very scary. My favorite one is Lords of Salem, but he just made the offer. I showed up. I was playing opposite Octavia Spencer, Oscar winner for The Help. She's a major producer and creator now in the most impressive way. She's got 2 Oscars. Well, 3, 4. But her production company created The Shape of Water and Green Book.
Wow.
And those are Oscar winners. So, you know, we had a ball together. We had a great time. He's a tough guy to get to know. He is not Mr. Warm. He's not going to be your buddy and your pal. He sat next to me for lunch and I couldn't eat. I thought, he's going to talk to me at any moment. I want to be ready. I don't want to have steak in my mouth. I waited. So Caroline, do you want to sign this thing? I don't know.
I was just going to ask, have you signed anything?
Signed everything. I signed everything. I signed about 14 items in my trailer. It was amazing. He really is who he says he is. He's the real thing. Yeah.
So Adam Green has been doing a lot of good things in horror, and you were in Hatchet 3.
Yes.
Talk about working with him, and do you see him as maybe a front runner in the new wave of horror?
The Victor Crowley monster, to me, was one of the best creations that any director's ever come up with. I mean, Victor is a great monster. But the thing is at the time we were shooting in Louisiana, B.J. McDonald had been hired to direct. And B.J. is a very good friend of mine and an excellent choice for the Hatchet series because he's very muscular and he's very masculine and his camera moves and the guy is amazing. Adam, on the other hand, was writing the 2nd season of Holliston. So every time somebody would try to go find Adam, he was in his trailer writing Holliston. And I remember going to ask him a question, since he wrote the role and everything I wanted to ask. I love working with writers, and that's essential to me. I went and knocked on the door, he opens it. His eyes are bloodshot, like bleeding bloodshot. His hair's on end, and he's shaking, like this. And I said, what is up? He said, I'm writing the 2nd season of Holliston. I haven't slept in 4 days. I mean, boom. I loved my experience on that film. And she, if you were going to take Stretch down a more traditional path as a character, it would be Amanda Perlman, you know?
So when you're in a sort of an all-star horror cast like that, and you're sharing the camera with, you know, some of your peers, do you find that it brings the best out of you for, you know, having that other person there, or do you find it competition, or do you find it to be positive competition, is, you know, bringing out the best performance?
You know, the acting community in horror is probably one of the most generous and most fun-loving. I mean, we love to have a good time. And so the idea of competition isn't really a part of the mindset. Everybody shows up to do the very best job for the director that they can at any given moment. My scenes with Octavia Spencer, she had played 7 nurses in a row. That's who her agent was at the time, 7 nurses in a row. And she was complaining about it, and I was complaining about things. Rob said to us, I'm gonna send a video camera with you guys into a room and just make something up to talk about when you're in the nurses station. And that's what we did. And we went back and forth and we had a ball together. We just had a ball. And nobody knew she was gonna be winning an Oscar for The Help, but she had just finished shooting that film for Tate Taylor. And she's from Alabama, I'm from Mississippi. I had lived part of my childhood in Mississippi. She said, I'm gonna give you Tate Taylor's number. You need to call him. You're a Southern girl. He likes working with Southern women. I mean, it's that brand of generosity. You know, 10 Minutes to Midnight was initially offered to Barbara Crampton. Barbara called me. She said, I can't do this. I'm going to shoot Castle Freak in Albania. This script reads like it was written for you. This character is you. You have to do this. Hey, I'm there, you know? It's that kind of community. It really is.
So have you been working on anything lately?
I've got 4 releases this year. I've got Greenlight, which is currently on VOD, Amazon Prime. You'll find it, it's there. Just go on your television. It's an excellent film. It's directed by Graham Denman. We had a great time on that movie. 10 Minutes to Midnight, like I said, a gift from Barbara. It's extraordinary. It was written by 2 young men. I would have expected it to be written by women, but women give me lots of nuclear family, which is great. I understand, I get it. But these 2 guys wrote a DJ, 50 years old, who's just being told, close to going on the air, that her job is over. And everything that happens after that. And she's being replaced by a much younger, cool gal. And she's been into rock and metal, you know, on her show forever. It's one of the best things that I've ever done. The places that we go in this movie, I've never done anything like it. So we're starting our festival run, so that's an amazing thing. Did a short for a fantastic young female director, Julia Max, called Pieces of Me, about a mom, but not that kind of mom. So that's fun. And a great movie called Killer Rose that Ricky Bird out of Bakersfield directed. It's a grindhouse film, and it's really got that feel. And you know, it's sort of Thelma and Louise go Tarantino. So cars and guns and blood and things blowing up. And I had to do a knife throw. They put these mini knives in my bra. I had to do a knife throw like this. And I hit the lens twice. So there.
So does anybody have any questions for Caroline in the audience?
What's your thoughts on Toby Hooper, Caroline, working with him on a personal level? Yeah.
You know, Toby, I'm convinced he was Asperger's. I have an autistic son, so I've lived in the autism world for the last 24 years. And I've had a chance to be, there are so many film editors who are autistic or Asperger's because there is a movie and a visual running in their head at all times. Toby was very visual. I'll give you, for instance, I had written a script with a friend and wanted Toby to read it. And he said, you know what, don't make me read it, come read it to me. And we met at a restaurant, and we're at a sidewalk cafe, and I read the script to him aloud because he wanted to see it in his head. I remember saying, damn it, this happens every fucking time. I remember watching him walk down the street, and he would be talking to himself, and he would be looking places. I do this shit now. It could be age, but he would be listening to those voices and seeing.
Didn't mean to make you cry.
No, but I'm glad you did bring him up because, you know, he's never going to be forgotten.
Right.
The movies live forever. That's the beauty of movies and music and books, is they live forever. And he was so wildly imaginative, and he had such an eccentric and skewed sense of humor. But he was a little kid. He was just a little Texas kid playing in the dirt. You know, that's who he was.
Anybody else? One last question.
I'm a crier. Yes, Balls.
As you know, I'm a Howard Stern super fan and a regular caller. I wanted to know, what's your relationship and feelings on Howard Stern?
You know what? I love Howard Stern. I used to watch his New Year's Eve presentations. I think he's the funniest son of a bitch in the world. And when my children were newborns, I would get up for the 3 a.m. feeding, and I would go into the baby's room, and I would breastfeed while Robin came on the air to give the news. And I remember sitting there once, another 3 a.m. for whatever reason, and I think this is 2015, and she had come on the air talking about the movie Contracted, which is a body horror film that I was in. And she was talking to Howard about Contracted. And I thought, we made it!
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, yeah.
Funny. Full circle.
I love Howard Stern. Papa Booey, Papa Booey.
Baba Booey!
I hate that he's on Sirius. I used to love that I could just tune in on my regular radio and not have to buy it. God damn it. Anyway.
Well, again, thank you for being so candid and taking some time out with us. Ladies and gentlemen, give you a round of applause to
I wouldn't be me. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you.
Now you have to help me get down from here.